Hey folks, I haven't done a video for a while, so I figured today would be a good day. Yesterday, I was listening to a message at church. Pastor Kyle did a great job with the message, but he was talking about fear of the Lord. And in light of what happened in the last week with Mr. Kirk being murdered, that message of the fear of the Lord really hit me in the heart. One of the examples Pastor Kyle brought up was Jim Bakker back in the 80s when Jim Bakker's ministry when he stole millions of dollars from the ministry, and he was being interviewed and said, when did you stop loving Jesus? He said, I never stopped loving Jesus. He goes, I've always loved Jesus. He said, well, I lost my fear. And that being the larger part right now is a lot of this world has no fear of the Lord. And they don't know him. They don't have a relationship with him. There's a lot of people that are being raised that have no idea who God is, and they don't want to, or at least they claim. So for somebody who's never known God, for somebody who's never known Jesus, or Yeshua, however you want to say, then if you don't know, how can you have fear of? So one of our job as Christians is to go out there and introduce people to Jesus, to Yeshua, and introduce them to him as who he is, the Savior of this world. The problem is, like I say, if you don't know that he's there, if somebody, well, I've never heard of Jesus, or no, they do, people all the time interviewing folks out on it. Do you have a relationship with Jesus? Do you know Jesus Christ? And people, no, and they're trying to shield their faith. Well, if they don't know, they don't know. Eventually they're going to. Eventually there's going to be a one-on-one. You're going to know Jesus. And according to the scriptures, it doesn't matter how long you've been in the garden, as long as you were in the garden, period. So that's one of the big deals. And eventually they're going to know. As soon as we're born, as soon as we are conceived, we are an eternal being. And at that point, people, they as they go on and grow, they have a fear of death. They have a fear of just things coming to an end. But they don't fear God. They don't fear circumstances. They don't fear losing that relationship because they don't know him. So we as Christians need to get into a place to where we can talk to these people, to where we can witness to people. The guy that shot Mr. Kirk, he's been introduced. His family, he was a Christian. He's the one to walk away, and he started, listening to Antifa and the left side, and people who are predominantly left wing, a lot more atheists. Can there be an atheist right wing? Yes, there can. Not near as often, but there can. So my point is that the guy had no fear of taking somebody else's life. He had no fear of the retribution. At least he wasn't thinking that far ahead. He wanted to be a martyr. He wanted to go out there. It's just like these guys go out and do the school shootings or go blow people up. they don't fear God. They fear they're not going to be heard. They have a lot more fears out there than any Christian would ever have. People don't have a fear of the Lord because, like I say, they don't get up to a place of circumstance. I watched a video earlier today of a Middle Eastern type guy was showing self-defense when your mom comes after you with a sandal, and he shows how to block, grab a hold of the arm, and you do this, and you either break mom's arm or you flip her over your shoulder flips this guy over onto a mat. And he goes, and this is what you do. And so then he turns around and he goes, Mom. And she said, you're trying to show somebody how to break mother's arm? And she walks up with her sandal and hits the guy and just, knocks him over. It was pretty hilarious. But it's one of those deals. What happens when you come against God? I mean, he's a big God. He created it, all of us, everything. But when you come up against him, he's given us a choice of heaven or hell. We got to choose. And eventually, we're all going to have to face Jesus and Yeshua and make a decision if we believe in him or not. Eventually, everybody's going to have to. But when we stop, when we don't have a fear of circumstance, then things happen. I mean, there's people who jump in front of the bullet because they don't care about their lives. They want to protect other people. Well, that's different than God just not being in your life. And as Christians, it's our responsibility, I do believe, that we go out there and we talk to other folks, that we do what we can to bring others in, that we witness to God, his glory in everything we do. But, like I say, people lose their fear. That's why Chief Center, I can lose sight as fast as anybody else when speaking with my mouth or believing things that, I lose sight of that fear. I'm thinking more of myself than my relationship with God. And that's what puts that division in. God doesn't move. I will never leave you nor forsake you. It's us that leaves and forsakes. The guy that pulled the trigger, he left the Lord. Anybody who's raised with any moral values, they're the ones that left. It's not God that changed. And once we find out that he is there, once we tell others, once they find out the good news, once they find out, it's kind of, oh my goodness, I did all this, and now I realize. So that brings me to what I preach all the time, 2 Chronicles 7:14. If the people, us Christians, who are called by my name, what God says, that's us. If we will humble ourselves, that's having that fear of the Lord. If we will humble ourselves and seek his face, he'll hear our prayers from heaven and heal our land. That's where we're trying to get this world to. That's where we need to go to. That's where we need to be. That's why I go out and preach to people. That's why I go out and talk to people. That's why I try to go out there and change hearts, change minds. If you just go out there and make a man, according to Proverbs, a man wronged is harder to win than a city. I don't want to get him mad. I want to get him changed. I want to outlove everything the enemy's done. I want to do what Mr. Kirk was trying to do. And I believe what his legacy will keep on doing, the work of Jesus Christ. And that's who we support. And that's who we go after. That's what we're trying to do. Lord bless. Have a wonderful day.